Every application we use daily, from social media to banking, operates as a digital vault holding our most sensitive personal information. Protecting that information relies on three foundational goals: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. This is known as the CIA triad, and it forms the basis of all cybersecurity defense. Building a secure system requires two layers. You need written rules dictating how humans are allowed to interact with the system, and you need digital locks to enforce those rules automatically. When an application is built without these protections, it exposes human lives and private data to catastrophic risk. Consider a fictional class project app called EduShare. It's a functional tool designed for students to share study guides and track their grades. But under the surface, EduShare has a fatal design flaw. The developers created no written security policies for how data should be handled, and they configured the system to use a single shared master password for every user. Because everyone logs in with the exact same credentials, any student who enters the app has full administrative power. They can view, edit, or even delete the private grades of their classmates. Building functionality without security creates a liability. It results in a system where implicit trust is easily exploited by anyone already on the inside. A security audit of EduShare exposes the consequences of this design. Relying on shared accounts eliminates user accountability because it's impossible to trace an action back to a specific person. Allowing every student the ability to edit the grading database represents a massive failure in permission management. Furthermore, without system backups or access logs, the application has no mechanism to recover from an attack or identify an attacker after the fact. Fixing EduShare requires a two-pronged defense strategy, dividing the security plan into two distinct categories: managerial controls and access controls. Securing a system requires establishing human policy and the rules of engagement before writing a single line of security code. Managerial controls are the written rules, policies, and guidelines that dictate how users interact with systems and data. The most prominent of these is the Acceptable Use Policy, or AUP. This document establishes exactly what users are permitted to do on the application and explicitly states what behaviors are prohibited. These policies also include data handling rules. They are necessary to classify sensitive information, like student records, and specify exactly how that data must be protected. A written document is useless if no one reads it. Managerial controls mandate security awareness training for both staff and students, so everyone understands their responsibilities. Together, managerial controls act as a paper shield. They align human behavior to prevent accidental errors and mitigate insider threats. Beyond user behavior, managerial controls define the operational rules required to prepare the system for inevitable cyber threats. Organizations mandate strict software update schedules to ensure known vulnerabilities are patched before adversaries can exploit them. To ensure data survival in a worst-case scenario, policy dictates a schedule for daily data backups and routine security audits. Finally, the organization needs a formalized incident response plan. When a breach occurs, the security team must know exactly what steps to take and who to contact to contain the damage. These operational policies directly protect the availability component of the CIA triad, keeping the system alive during a crisis. Once the rules are written, we deploy access controls. These are the technical, digital locks that enforce the parameters established by the managerial controls. For EduShare, this means eliminating the shared master password. We replace it with unique user accounts to establish strict accountability for every individual. With unique identities verified, the system uses role-based access control, or RBAC, to assign permissions based on a user's specific job function. The teacher role is designated as an admin and granted permission to edit grades. The student role is strictly limited to viewing them. This restriction is an application of the principle of least privilege, the practice of giving users exactly the level of access they need to perform their duties, and nothing more. Role-based access control and the principle of least privilege work in tandem to protect the integrity of the database, ensuring information cannot be altered by unauthorized users. Even with strict permissions, digital locks can be bypassed if an attacker steals a user's credentials. The system requires stronger verification. Implementing multi-factor authentication requires users to provide a second piece of evidence, like a temporary code on their phone, blocking unauthorized logins even if a password is compromised. Once authenticated, the system relies on detective controls like access logs to monitor behavior, recording IP addresses, timestamps, and HTTP requests. By auditing these, teams differentiate between GET requests to read data and POST requests to modify it, detecting abnormal traffic or unauthorized access. Active monitoring creates a continuous feedback loop, catching the threats that inevitably slip past initial perimeter defenses. In its final secured state, EduShare behaves differently. If a student attempts an unauthorized grade edit, the system automatically denies it and logs the event. Managerial policies define the parameters of safety, and access controls enforce them. They work in tandem to maintain the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of the system. Here are the 5 key takeaways for securing applications and data. Take a moment to pause the video and answer these 3 review questions to test your knowledge of acceptable use policies, role-based access control, and the dangers of shared accounts. Data is only safe when people, policies, and digital permissions are fully aligned.